Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Clueless 8, and this is the end of the long weekend report being recorded tonight, September 1st, 2014. Tonight's report, I'm going to try to keep it brief and cover a couple of very unique observations on the market, which I've shown before, but like to highlight what I call day counts, which some technicians use, and it's just one of the variables that can be used to figure out if where this market is currently heading. Keep in mind, these are all short-term forecasts, and markets can, as we know, change their directional bias in a nanosecond. We are very accustomed to by now, new members and older traders alike, that algorithmic high frequency trading programs can change directional bets in the market very quickly and change the overall pattern and makeup of a chart within seconds. So, keep that in mind as we go along with this, with my explanations. My apologies. Okay. Saying all that, let's take a look at what we're seeing. We have had a very powerful acceleration phase since September of 2000. Since September of 2013, as you can see here, when the S&P was around 1635. So currently we are at 2000, and I'm talking about the S&P futures here, and currently we are up about quarter of a point, or call it flat, pre-market, after hours, pre-market, whatever you call it, at 11 p.m. right now on Monday night. And so if you for new traders, obviously you should know this by now, the S&P closed at 2003.37. So the difference between that and the ES is roughly that the ES is about 2 points lower. Just add about 2 or 3 points to the actual ES S&P futures in order to determine the level of the actual S&P. Okay, let's move on. So I'm going to show you a very interesting day count here, okay? Just something different. I've talked about this before, then I will say that my prediction and my forecasting have been very precise overall in the market and in individual stocks. Please look back and review my old video casts from market bottoms and from some of the tops where I have forecasted very accurately of which market direction direction market would take. And I've mentioned that this particular leg of the market is very, very similar given internal stochastics, given a whole bunch of variable indicators which show some very deep oversold conditions, very, very similar and somewhat of a pattern symmetry or mirror image to what we encountered in the January-February time frame of 2014. So saying all that, this is, let me just get the drawing tool out, and this was the big drop in at the end of the year, January of 2014, and the turnaround which started on the first week of February, approximately around February 5th. So saying all that, I've shown this before, so I'm showing it again. This is the pattern symmetry, and it went like this. Before we corrected, kind of moved around, corrected, and then we started the journey again. So let's focus on this particular part here. I counted the day count as roughly 23 days here, okay? It's 23 days from the bottom here till the top. Currently we're in the 18th day. Now here's where it gets interesting, okay? Now I've talked about this before, that we have at September 8th, roughly give or take, where I think the market is going to have a short-term peak and have a quick sharp pullback before we decide what we need to do. So look at this pattern symmetry here. We have a very large correction from the middle of July all the way through August 1st, and then now we're doing this. Okay, so this has been roughly about 18 days. So we have 23 days, which means we have another 5 business days before we, put a short-term peak in the market. That could carry us all the way up to about 2020 or so on the E-mini futures. So that means about 2023 or thereabouts on the about, add like 2 or 3 points to that, so to about 2023 or 2025 on the S&P, give or take. So let's take a look at the calendar. If you look at 5 business days, and I'm going to walk you through, very simple. If you look at 5 business days, first business day is Tuesday the 2nd, that's tomorrow. Second business is Wednesday the 3rd. Third business day is Thursday the 4th. Fourth business day is Friday the 5th of September. And the fifth business day is September 8th. Huh, what a coincidence, right? September 8th, which I have said is also part of the moon cycle. Not that I really believe in that, but I've observed that it's been pretty uncannily accurate. That would determine, give or take a day or so, or maybe that particular week, but let's focus on September 8th as a pivot day where we could see a possible short-term top in the market, where we could be looking at around 2020 on the S&P 500. So mark that on your calendars for whatever it's worth, just the way it is. So let me get this, recap this very quickly and get the drawing tool out. I believe that this is a very similar pattern to what we are seeing, what we saw back on February 5th. There were very few to absolutely no major market callers, whether in the media or in the newsletter world, maybe there were, but I didn't really see many, who called this type of reversal. Okay, now notice one thing here. Arrow appears on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th day. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6th day, we have the auto green arrow. Let's count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th day. Close enough with the auto green arrow. Now what happens after that? That's another way of looking at it. We have a extended run. So let's do this. 5th day will be somewhere around 2020. So pattern symmetries do matter, and the reason pattern symmetries happen, and a lot of my older members, older meaning that people who followed me diligently over many years since 2011 on StockTwits, but more importantly since the launch of this particular service where I've gotten very detailed and explained some of the methodology and reasoning behind a lot of my very accurate forecasts. And this is specifically for the newcomers and the new members who have signed up and the free trial subscribers, that pattern symmetries happen because human behavior never changes, and humans are the ones who program those algorithms and the high frequency trading programs, and lo and behold, they take over and they do what they need to do. Now, they're intelligent programs. They can kind of teach themselves to not repeat the same mistakes, but overall humans do that, and they have the same behavioral tendencies. That's the reason patterns happen in our lives and in the market. So this pattern, if you look at it quickly, is exactly what we're witnessing here. Saying all that, let's see what happens. We are overbought. If you notice here, we are quite overbought. So we're given a couple of days, 5 business days or so. We are close to intermediate top. So please be careful when we trade. I've warned those people every single day on my daily live Twitter feeds that take profits. Don't leave overnight positions too large, maybe the small positions. Be nimble, be flexible, monitor all kinds of developments. Be aware of your surroundings. That's my take on the S&P 500. Let me move on to the other charts.